welcome to Peter the Rev. And thanks again for joining me today. And I want to thank everybody for sending in your reviews on the YouTube account. And I think it's great, and I want to thank you very much. Now, for the last couple of weeks, I've been talking about how men should be behaving in the home and things that they weren't taught as a child growing up and becoming husbands and fathers and so forth. So I think it's time now that we jump onto the other side of the lake and we talk about the ladies. And ladies, sometimes you have the same issues as your mom and that does have and everything else. And I just want to let you know that we're here to help you to get through all of the issues you need to get through. And I just want to start with the fact that we've had 25 things that men need to stop doing. So what I'd like to talk about today is actually 14 things that women need to stop doing. And really, the reason for these exercises really are to help you to be able to communicate better and to help you maybe find some issues in your marriages that are not working out for you. And this is just to help you to get to the next level of your marriage, because really, in all honesty, you want to get to the very best that you can be with your marriage and with your husband and with your children, because just remember, your children now are the next and up and coming generation. And we look back at our generation and see all the mistakes that our parents made. And I'm not saying that it's good or bad. All I'm saying is that they weren't taught and we weren't taught. So now we have an opportunity to learn. And a lot of times what I say when I'm counseling with people is this, is that knowledge is power. So if you have knowledge of things that you're doing wrong, you have the power to be able to correct them. But and that's the thing. And sometimes there's issues that the ladies have to get through as well as the men have to get through. So really what I'd like to talk about today is really 14 things that women need to stop doing in the marriage. So I'd like to get started on that. And again, these were things that were written by women. These weren't written by men. These were written by women who have already come from great marital relationships. And I think, again, and I've said it before in when I talk, is that you need to find somebody, whether it be in a church, an older couple, or who've been married for a number of years, and they are happy, and they're well adjusted to everything that goes around, and you just need to ask them questions. And a lot of times, if you approach them in the right attitude, they'll be more than happy to help you, because in all honesty, we want to stop all of the divorces that go on, and whether that be in the secular world or even in the Christian, there is no difference anymore. There's just as many Christian divorces as there are non-Christian divorces. And I really think that that's sad, but I think it's because we've walked away from a generation of not following the right perspective in marriages. And I think a lot of times people today in the younger generation, and I'm talking husbands and wives, sometimes we become very selfish. And I've explained that before, but I'd like to get started right now. And I really hope that this is helpful for you. So number one, ladies, stop thinking your way is the right way. Just because we don't think the same way that you do, or that we may not approach something the same way that you do, when you insist in having it done your way, you are actually saying to your husband that you have to have control. Ladies, we don't want to be in control, but we really don't want you to be in control either. You want to be able to function together as husband and wife and to function together as one. Number two, don't put others before your husband. God designed marriage so that a husband and wife can meet one another's needs. And the reason for that is so that you can have a close, intimate, human relationship. God said in Genesis 2:18, it is not good for man to be alone. And it isn't good for us to be alone. So in all honesty, ladies, try and keep your husband in the forefront, and just try and think about him. It's nice to just pick up the phone in the middle of the day or something if you have time, and he can answer the phone, or even not, just leave a message, just to let him know that you're thinking about him. Number three, don't expect your husband to be your girlfriend. You know what? Men and women are made differently, and we're made differently for a reason. And you know what? We look differently physically, and we look at things totally different mentally. So, there are things that you can talk to your girlfriends about, and there are things that you should talk to your girlfriends about. But you know what? There are things that sometimes, really, ladies, it's not 100% that we're interested in what you talk to your girlfriends about. And you know what? So I think sometimes we just need to take into consideration on who you're talking to, and really is, I think husbands are interested, but again, we're not your girlfriend, we're your husband, and we're your friend. Number 4, don't dishonor your husbands. Suggestions include stop all nagging and don't correct your husband in front of other people. If you finish your husband's sentences, for instance, you may unintentionally be communicating, I really don't care what you have to say. And the reason we look at it that way is because, we look at it and say, well, okay, so why are you cutting me off? Or why are you saying things before I get a chance to finish? And that's how we look at it, ladies. So again, just let us finish what we have to say. If you want to add something to it afterward, that's fantastic. But in the meantime, let us finish what we have to say. Number 5, ladies, stop expecting your husband to fail you like your father failed your mother. Many, many times I've had people come into my counseling room or my office and basically say, well, he's just like my dad. My dad did this and my dad did that. Ladies, he's not your dad, he's your husband. I do believe that sometimes, in some cases, some women do marry men that are like their fathers. And you know what? I think sometimes it's issues that haven't been dealt with from your past, okay? It's issues that you need to deal with, and it's issues that will keep popping up until you do deal with them. The other thing that you need to look at is that, you sometimes, because of your past hurts and interference in your life, you'll steer your husbands to the point that they end up being like your father. So you need to deal with those issues if you have some. You need to talk to somebody about those issues so that you can get that sorted out, because the last thing that you really want to do is keep putting your husband in the same place as your dad, okay? He's your husband, he's not your dad, okay? Number 6, don't put your husband on the defensive, ladies. I'm going to give you a prime example of this, and it works like this. If your husband's been driving around the block and you were going to go to the restaurant and all of a sudden he's gone around that block 6 times, you know that he's lost, okay? He knows that he's lost, you know that he's lost, but in all honesty, he's trying to let you know that he's not lost, because that's just the way we are. That's a pride thing. But you need to sit and think about, a wise wife once said, it is best to be quiet in times like this, for you need to ask yourself, are my words really needed? So you need to look and say, are my words needed or are they not needed? And would your words be encouraging? Proverbs 10:19 says, when words are many, transgression is not lacking, but whomsoever restrains his lips is prudent. And I think that's a good thing to go forward on. Number 7, ladies. Again, number 7 is another important one, and it is never use sex to bargain with your husbands. Okay? Some women intentionally or unintentionally say to their husbands, when I get what I want, you can have sex. 1 Corinthians 7:4 and 5 reminds husbands and wives that their bodies are not their own. Do not deprive one another, it says. So you need to read that. It's 1 Corinthians 7:4 and 5. Okay? Number 8, stop reminding your husband about things over and over and over again. Number 1, it'll sound like you're nagging. Number 2, it'll be like nitpicking. But you know what? Don't make your husband feel guilty, okay, about the small stuff. When you keep reminding him about his weight or his medication or little things that need to be done or pick up his socks or whatever the case may be, you're actually sounding more like his mother than you are his wife. And again, you know what? You're not his wife, you're not his mother, you're his wife. And you need to look at things like that. Number 9, don't make your husband earn your respect. Many women think, I'll respect him when he earns it. The reason Ephesians 5:33 says, let the wife see that she respects her husband. If women could understand that respect is a man's native tongue, that is the most important thing to us, ladies. It absolutely heals the heart and ministers to him like nothing else. When we are respected, we are on the top of the world. We are on the top of our game. And to us, that is very important to be respected. Again, I think it's a very important part of the communication part of what needs to happen with husbands and wives. Number 10, stop giving your husband your long-term to-do list. In other words, your honey-do list. In some cases, giving your husband too much information could overwhelm him. And in some cases, it is. In some cases, it's just terrifying to men. you may unintentionally cause him to feel like he's a failure. And you know what? It's because all the time he's turning around. I can't do this. I can't do this. I have to do this. I have to do that. So, you know, you may want to look at your list and maybe just give him a little bit at a time. Because really, in all honesty, if he can get the little ones accomplished and so forth, it's going to make him feel better. It's going to be encouraging him. And then he can get the bigger ones done at a later time. Number 11, don't act like your husband is a mind reader. So many women think that we know what needs to be done and what should be done, and you know what? A lot of times it isn't. Be specific about your request. The only way that we are going to know your needs is if you tell us. When Gail and I got married 17 years ago, I always remembered this. We had somebody that was speaking over us in our wedding, and the lady had said to Gail, she said, you know, you have to remember that when you see a McDonald's and you want to stop, you can't just say, oh, Peter, there's a McDonald's, because he won't stop. And she's absolutely right. What you need to say is, oh, Peter, there's a McDonald's, I need to stop. And that's the important part, I need to stop. So basically, you know what, just let us know for sure on which way you want us to go. And you know, I think it's just very important that we understand that. And again, it opens up the cases again, of communication. It opens up the fact that we get to start to know each other a little bit better, and we'll be able to communicate a lot easier once we know how to talk to each other properly. Number 12, stop putting housework ahead of hubby or your husband, however you want to interpret that. Bottom line is, you know, if your husband comes home and there's something that he wants to do with you, how important is it to get the housework done? You can always do it at a later date, and you can always do it together later on in the evening or when you're done the activity that needs to be done. Number 13, put an end to taking the lead because you think he won't. Another one of my issues that comes into my counseling office is that my husband doesn't want to take the lead. My husband doesn't want to be head of the house. My husband, you know, leaves everything up to me. Honestly, ladies, you need to look at the point of some women see something to be done and they jump right in and they want it done as soon as possible. I know that I'm the type of guy that I would like to have things done as soon as possible, and you know what, so my wife doesn't really have that issue with me, but it can be an issue. But you know what, ladies, you have to give the grace and a little bit of time. Okay, you may not be giving your husband a chance to get it done. Sometimes men don't take the lead because women, you're too quick to jump in. So another thing for you to look at. Number 14, don't expect your husband to be Prince Charming. Again, when we first met, you know, everybody is lovey-dovey and everybody is, you know, patient and graceful and everything else. But you know what? I'm not saying that we're not Prince Charming, but fairy tales are fairy tales. You live in a marriage in the real world, and there are issues, there are problems that need to be focused on, and there are things that need to be done. But you know what? Try not to focus on your husband's shortcomings, but learn to focus on your husband's good things, and he may be encouraged to become your Prince Charming. I am Peter the Rev, and I'm here to say thank you.